Here. What do we have here? A lot of new people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we have to change strategy. Not preaching to the choir, but you're all from India, so they do have to introduce chanting Hare Krishna to you, isn't it? Everybody's familiar with this. More or less?
Yes.
Yeah. From the south or north or?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, we are also everywhere. We have so many temples. Thanks to His divine grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. And this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the Yuga Dharma. There are different yugas, as we all know. And different ages, different prescribed methods are available or suggested, prescribed for a particular age. Satya Yuga is meditation. When the living entities are in the mode of goodness, Satya, everything is very nice. People are truthful, they're clean, they're honest, religious, intelligent, they have a long life. And meditation, they can control the breath, slow down the breath, like almost stop the breath, breathing. And meditate on Vishnu, Paramatma, or Super Soul in the heart, and focus their mind. In this age, Kali Yuga, we cannot meditate even for a minute. What to speak of the TikTok generation? They cannot even read one page of a book anymore because it's too slow. Very dangerous. You give your sons and daughters iPads, this children's show and whatnot, and you just get hooked on all this instant gratification. And when it comes to real life, it seems to be boring. Nothing's happening. The mode of goodness is boring. And then Treta Yuga, Dvapar Yuga, prescribed method were deity worship in the temple room, or in temples, and yagyas. Very difficult to perform in Kali Yuga. We don't have the brahmanas who can chant properly the mantras. If you misspell one word or pronounce it wrongly, then you won't get the desired result. So that's impossible in this age. Well, maybe somebody can do it. Maybe there's somebody, but in general, it's very difficult for us. It's yagyas, right? And then Archa Vigraha, worship of the form of the Lord in the temple. Again, we need so much gold, so many resources, and qualified brahmanas, because you have to be very suchi, very clean. If you follow the real Brahminical standard, there are many rules. We don't even know the rules. It takes 2 hours before you can get out of bed, before you say all the mantras, and even to make it to the bathroom. And then so many rituals and so many mantras and purificatory processes, etc., etc. Nobody can follow nowadays. You have to provide for your family, you have to maintain a household. We don't have 2 hours to get out of bed. We have to go to the office or wherever you have to go to provide. You have to have an income source. And therefore in Kali Yuga, this age is described by living entities as Kali Yuga is the last age, and the lifespan is 100 years if you're lucky. It's more like 50, 100. Not everybody lives to 100. It's actually rare. More like 50, 60, 70. There's so many diseases. Society is atheistic. There's secular education going in schools. God consciousness is discouraged and looked down upon. The capitalism or Marxism, all this is a different political and ideological, materialistic teachings are in fashion. Marx said, right, the religion is the opiate of the masses. Opiate is, like opium, like heroin. It's a drug. So religion is a drug for the masses. Masses meaning, simple people, uneducated. Those who they need to hold on to something, because they're insecure. So they need God in their life. But if you're a real powerful man, independent person, then you don't need any help. The typical atheistic, demoniac attitude of Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, etc. And we see what's happening right now. I mean, there's so many these natural disasters because of this godless civilization. I'm not even talking about war or homelessness or in poverty. I'm just natural calamities right now happening. So many water disasters all over the world because of sinful life. Saw on the news in Yellowstone in America, all the wildlife, the deer, the bears, what else? So many rare wildlife in flux. They're fleeing Yellowstone. They're saying there's a volcano there that is inactive. It hasn't been active for forever. But the animals, they know. Krishna tells them in the heart. This is dangerous. You have to leave. And also they have a seventh sense for these kind of things. So they feel it, and it's fleeing. So planetary situation is such now. There's so many disasters are coming. There's war in the Middle East. There's war in Europe. There's war Africa. So many other places. And this is the result of the atheistic civilization. One time, if you read in Science of Self-Realization, do we have any books here for anybody who wants to read? We don't have any books. You should have some books. Anyways, it's supposed to be my duty. So we have this book, Science of Self-Realization. We have many, many books. Srila Prabhupada translated. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, of course. But there are many, many lectures he has given. He wrote essays and gave interviews to reporters. And this is a compilation of all 5-10 pages short experts from lectures. And then he talks to the spokesperson of the Chicago Police Department. I believe his name is Wallace or something like that. Mr. Wallace, and he was sympathetic to Srila Prabhupada. You could sense that he was a genuine, saintly person. And he sincerely asked, how can we achieve peace in society? And directly meaning indirectly in society, directly in Chicago City. As you know, Chicago City is very dangerous. One part of Chicago City, there's a lot of shootings and so many murders. Almost comes to the platform of Baltimore, where 300 drug-related murders a year. Every day someone shot dead. And many more people shot, but they don't die. So this is just insane. And Srila Prabhupada said, his answer was to him, that if your government, your city gives us facility to hold mass Harinam Sankirtan festivals, you will see the result that crime will subside and people will be happy and peaceful. We come here together, everybody's enjoying, chanting the holy name. You are in your workplace all day working in the office, and you're singing this raga called Pimpala Srina. This is in the mood of Purva Raga, and devotees or the Brajbasis, Purva Raga means anticipation of meeting Krishna. So prior to meeting, anticipating the meeting with Krishna later. So it's a nice mood, and our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, recommended that we should chant. We perform our bhajan, anticipating meeting with Krishna. And so you were in the office today, 4 o'clock. Were you anticipating meeting Krishna? Yes? Some people? Okay. I was in Maya, I know I was in complete Maya. But at least when we come together, we are chanting here together, we feel some spiritual strength. And spiritual life means what? Sat, Chit, Ananda. We feel the eternal nature of Krishna. We feel our eternal nature, our Prabhupada translated dharma, or the occupational duty of the living entity, not as a religion, but as I said, the occupational duty of the living entity. What is that occupational duty? To serve God, to serve the Lord. This is inherent within us. We are active by nature. We cannot stop action. And we are pleasure-seeking by nature. The soul is pleasure-seeking. We want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy, one way or another. Of course, we're an illusion now. We're thinking we are this material body, we are the product of this material world, and therefore happiness is here in front of us. But this is just due to illusion. We are not these material bodies. We're spirit souls, and the spirit soul cannot get happiness or extract happiness from matter. It's impossible. Matter is dead, and the spiritual energy, us, the soul, is alive, and we are persons. We want personal relationships, and we're looking for love, and we want to be loved, and it is all there with our eternal relationship with Krishna. And when we chant this Hare Krishna mantra, we feel that a little bit, and as much as you give, Krishna give you 10 times in reciprocation, and then you feel more encouraged, and you have more faith, Shraddha, and this is the process. So by this chanting, Krishna's nature is evoked in our heart, in our consciousness, and our dharma, or serving God through love and devotion, will be awakened by this Mahamantra. We will realize we are not this material body, and the more we do it, the more we become Krishna conscious, the more we become Sat Chit Ananda. Eternal. We are already eternal. We are already by nature cognizant or full of knowledge, and Ananda, bliss, happiness. It's all there, but because we misdirect our quality of loving and serving Krishna, therefore we're not getting the juice. We're not getting anything. But when we chant Hare Krishna, that the happiness, the genuine happiness we have been looking for is awakened, and we feel it immediately. You just have to be a little bit sincere. So this is the meaning of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Srila Prabhupada explains when we chant, we should pray to Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Hare is the vocative form of Radha. That please, Krishna and Radha, Krishna's consort, our mother, please engage me in your service. Our occupational service or duty or nature is to serve, as I said. Inseparable from us. Just like what is the quality of water? It is wet, right? What is the quality of fire? It is fire gives heat and light. Similarly, the jiva, the soul, gives loving service to Krishna. It's always there eternally. And when we cannot do that, or we're not doing it properly, we suffer. When we forget Krishna, we suffer. So let's chant Hare Krishna, remember Krishna, and let us be happy. Anyone has any questions about this? All good? Okay. All right. Who can play kartals? Who else can play kartals? We already have very good kartal, mridanga, everything. But we have no more kartal power. Anybody volunteer? Don't be shy. Maybe you'll pick it up the right kirtan. And I just wanted to say, so you don't have to come up to me individually. I lived in Vrindavan, then I moved to Mayapur. Because every place I go, so this is the conversation I have to repeat, one after another. And Mayapur is a wonderful place. It's the place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that if you think you can get Radha and Krishna without the mercy of Gaura, you're an asura. In Kali Yuga, you cannot get Radha Krishna love without the mercy of Gaura. And therefore, I'm very much appreciating living in Mayapur. Of course, Vrindavan is my home. I spent 27 years there. And but I really increasingly appreciating the land of Sridham Mayapur and the mercy of Gaura and Nitai and Gadadhar and all the Panchatattvas. Gaura Gadai, Gaura Nitai, Sitapati Advaita, Acharya, Shivas Pandit, and all their associates, the 6 Goswamis, etc. By their teachings, even us, wretched Kali Yuga products, can approach Radha and Krishna, as their messengers, or entrusted by them. So Mayapur is wonderful because of this. In fact, there is Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. He lived how long? 110 years. He said I spent all my life performing bhajan in Vrindavan Dham, and then you have a napkin, prabhu. And then I moved to Mayapur, and then I felt my love for Krishna, Radha and Krishna, just exploded. And this is an eternally liberated soul. Of course, for our benefit, he's talking like this. He's always in full Krishna prema. But it is a fact that in Kali Yuga it's very difficult to get love of God, even in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is for very, very, very serious devotees. In Kali Yuga, like I said, we are very slow in spiritual realization, very lazy. I'm good. It's almost impossible. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is that Krishna as Kaviraj Goswami says, he opened the storehouse of love of God, of Krishna Prema. And he's not considering who's qualified, who's not qualified. He wants to give it to everybody. Please take. As much as you can, and then take more. Almost like running after you. Take more mercy. No, I already, not enough, take more. So that's Mahaprabhu. Adharyada. There's one section in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Panihati festival is described, and it says Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeding everybody with his and serving everybody with his own hand, and he gave each devotee 3-4 times the regular proportion that a person gets. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the followers of Lord Chaitanya were not accustomed to take small proportions of prasadam. So yes, eat prasadam up to the neck, because prasadam is our secret weapon. It's also Krishna. Everything is related, associated with Krishna. Will make you Krishna conscious. But at the same time, we have to control our tongue. So when you're a new bhakta or when you're young, you can eat up to the back, up to the neck. It's Krishna prasadam. But it is expected that you slowly control your eating and sleeping. Reduce your eating and sleeping, because when you come to the time of death, you should be in full control of your senses. Or like Arjuna, Arjuna's name was Gudakesh. What does it mean, Gudakesh? The conqueror of sleep. You see, when you get to Marine Corps, you have training. Sometimes they don't sleep for 3 days. Mind over matter, that's their motto. They're very hard training, and it takes a lot of strength and a lot of willpower and transcending the body. Of course, they are full in bodily consciousness, but we have a better chance, because as you become more and more Krishna conscious, and especially when we hear the example of Das Goswami, of Radhakund, Raghunath Das Goswami, who was only eating the little cup of chach, buttermilk, every second day. And even that because his servant was almost forcing him to eat something, otherwise the body will just disappear. How can you do that? He was able to do that because he had no interest in the mature body. He had no interest in his tongue and senses. He was completely engaged in Lila Smaranam. And it wasn't just Smaranam, he was there in the Leelas of Radha and Krishna in person. This body he just maintained externally somehow by his Krishna consciousness, by his spiritual power. So we have to come to that stage in some lifetimes. But that is the goal, and we should have that goal in set for us for the future. You might not be able to be there right now, and it seems impossible, but we should not think it's impossible. It is possible, but it will take time. Or, everybody comes from a different background, from previous births, different amounts of devotional service and spiritual realizations coming with him and her. So we never know who we meet and where they're at. Somebody just comes to the temple the first time, but maybe he's been a very, very elevated soul in a previous life. So we never know. But that should be our goal, and this Hare Krishna mantra will take us there. Everything is contained in the Hare Krishna mantra. Lord Chaitanya Krishna endowed all his spiritual potencies in the mantra. In fact, the Hare Krishna mantra is Krishna, none different, including all his energies and potencies are present within the mantra, and it can reveal everything and anything to you which is not necessary for reviving your Krishna consciousness. We just have to take to the process. Come together, we have to perform your duty during the day. Lord Chaitanya says, you're a grihastha, doesn't matter. You clap your hands in the morning and chant Hare Krishna, and clap your hands if you don't know how to play kartals or mridanga, and chant Hare Krishna. You don't have to even sing in tune. Doesn't matter. We're not here to perform some kind of musical talent show, and entertainment. If somebody knows how to sing better, that's fine, but it should be always, purity should be the criteria. If someone is not following Krishna consciousness, he should not be leading the kirtan or giving class, etc., etc. It's not a cheap thing. So just because somebody has musical abilities will not qualify him to be the leader of the Vaishnava. It's a very, very great responsibility. Okay. All clear? I doubt. I'm very confused all the time. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bye.